Soda here from Edu2 Plus 24, where we make learning English fun and easy for you. Today, we are going to learn about adverbs of frequency. We'll start this lesson by looking at what adverbs are. After that, we'll look at when and how to use them. At the end of this lesson, there will be some activities and a quiz challenge to allow you to put your knowledge into practice. So if you're ready, let's get started. Let's begin by exploring what adverbs are. Adverbs are words like quickly, loudly, slowly, quietly, always, usually, never, and so forth. Adverbs can do many things in a sentence. They can describe verbs, adjectives, other adverbs, or entire sentences. In simple words, they describe actions, events, or situations. They can describe how something happens. For example, Lisa runs quickly. The subject of this sentence is Lisa. The verb is run, and the adverb is quickly. How does Lisa run? She runs quickly. So as you can see, the adverb quickly describes the verb run. So how does she run? She runs quickly. Now, adverbs of frequency tell us how often an action takes place. For example, Lisa usually runs to class. The adverb of frequency here is usually. It describes how often Lisa runs to class. Here are some more examples. Lisa is always sleepy. Our teacher often gives us homework. I can never remember his name. So remember, adverbs describe how something happens, when something happens, where something happens, or how often something happens. So, what are some common adverbs of frequency in English? What do they mean? An easy way to remember the meaning of frequency adverbs is to match them with percentages. How often do you do something? Now, let's match the adverbs of frequency with percentages. When talking about frequency, 100% means you do something all the time. 0% means you don't ever do it. The adverb always means 100%. Almost always mean about 95%. The adverbs usually, often, and frequently mean about 80%. Sometimes means around 50%. The adverb occasionally means about 30%. Seldom and not very often mean around 15%. Rarely and hardly ever means about 5%. The adverb never means 0%. So remember, adverbs of frequency are adverbs of time that answer the question how frequently or how often. They tell us how often something happens. We can also use time expression like, for example, once a week, on Saturday mornings, twice a week, on Mondays and Fridays, 3 times a week, after school or after work, every day, every weekend, on weekdays, on weekends, and so forth. One important point you should remember is that we use the adverbs of frequency to say how often. How often do you do something? How often an action is done? Adverbs of frequency are often used to indicate routine or repeated activities, so they are often used in the simple present tense. Okay, here are some examples of adverbs of frequency with simple present tense verbs. I eat vegetables daily. The adverb daily here indicates how often I eat vegetables. So, how often do I eat vegetables? I eat vegetables daily. And you'll also notice that I use the verb eat in its simple present form. I go running twice a week. Again, this sentence is also in simple present tense. So I use the verb go. I go running twice a week. Twice a week indicates how often I go running. I go running twice a week. I am usually hungry in the morning. The adverb usually answers the question how often I am hungry. I am usually hungry. And you'll notice that I also added time expression at the end of the sentence to specify when I'm usually hungry. I'm usually hungry in the morning. Do you usually go to the gym? And again, the adverb usually answer how often I go to the gym. Usually, I usually go to the gym. He hardly ever drinks beer. So again, the adverb hardly ever tells us how often he drinks beer. He hardly ever drinks beer. You always come to class on time. The adverb always answers how often you come to class on time. You always come to class. Remember, adverbs of frequency are often used with simple present verbs. There are three common sentence patterns for adverbs of frequency in English. The first pattern is be plus adverb. For example, in this sentence right here, she is never tired. The adverb never follows the verb is. The adverb never describes how often she is tired. Now let's look at some more examples. He is always on time. I am sometimes late. They are always hungry. As you can see, with the verb to be, am, is, are, the adverbs of frequency come after the verb to be. The second pattern is adverb plus verb. For example, in this sentence, we always exercise on Monday. The adverb always comes before the regular verb exercise, and the adverb always describes how often we exercise. When do we exercise? On Monday. Here are some more examples. She usually goes to the gym. I sometimes play soccer. I never go swimming. So remember, in this second pattern, the adverb of frequency comes before the main verb. The third pattern is verb plus adverb plus verb. Whenever a verb has two or more parts, the frequency adverbs usually follow the first part of the verb. For example, in this sentence, you are always looking at your phone. The adverb always comes between are and looking. Always describes how often you are looking at your phone. Here are some more examples. She can sometimes hear birds in her backyard. Again, the adverb sometimes comes between can and hears. My teacher is always telling me to do my homework. Again, you'll notice that the adverb always comes between is and telling. There are other sentence patterns for adverbs of frequency. We use ever to make questions. Ever means at any time. To make a question, we use the helping verb do or does, plus the subject, plus ever, plus verb. For example, do you ever play basketball? As you can see in this example, ever comes before the main verb play, but after the subject you. So, do you ever play basketball? Yes, I play basketball once a week. Here's another example. Does he ever go swimming? Again, as you can see in this example, ever comes before the main verb go, but after the subject he. So, does he ever go swimming? No, he never goes swimming. It is also common to use adverbs of frequency with time expressions. To add time expression to your sentence, you can follow this order. Adverb, how often, and when. For example, I always play soccer every weekend. As you can see in this example, the adverb always comes first, followed by the time expression every weekend. You cannot say, I every weekend always play soccer. This is incorrect. You need to follow this order. Adverb, how often, when. Here's another example. I usually go running once a week on Mondays. Again, as you can see in this sentence, the adverb usually comes first, followed by how often, once a week, and then on Mondays. So there you have it. That's how you form the adverbs of frequency with time expressions. You just need to remember the order of the sentence. Adverb, how often, when. Now, it's time for a few activities. Look at the information about Jane. Then complete the sentences by using adverbs of frequency or time expressions. For example, number one would be Jane usually does yoga after work. You can pause the video while you work. Okay, let's check how you did. Number two, she never plays tennis. Number three, she goes running twice a week. Number four, she goes swimming every day. Number five, she does yoga 4 times a week. Now, complete the sentences. Put the adverbs of frequency and time expressions in the correct place. For example, number one, the answer would be I'm usually hungry in the morning. Now you can pause the video while you work. All right, now let's check how you did. Number two, I sometimes go to school on Saturdays. Number three, he always exercises on weekends. Number four, Peter is always happy. Number five, I rarely go swimming on weekends. Number six, they usually go to the gym after work. All right, now let's match the adverbs of frequency with percentages. Remember that when we talk about frequency, 100% means that you always do something all the time. 0% means you never do it. You don't ever do it. You can pause the video while you work. Okay, now let's check how you did. The adverb always means 100%. Almost always means about 95%. The adverbs usually, often, and frequently mean about 80%. Sometimes means around 50%. The adverb occasionally means about 30%. Seldom and not very often mean around 15%. Rarely and hardly ever means about 5%. The adverb never means 0%. Now it's quiz time. Challenge yourself by putting these words in the correct order. You can pause the video while you work. And don't forget to share your answers and tell us where you're watching this lesson from in the comments below. And if you found this grammar lesson helpful and that you've learned something from this lesson, please subscribe, like, and share this lesson with your friends. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next lesson.